my name is Daniel Mart, back again. I am an actor and filmmaker based out of South Florida, and this week, in the spirit of Christmas, I'm going to be discussing my top 15 favorite Christmas movies. So like every other movie list I've done in the past, I am going to set a few ground rules right off the bat. Just like always, I'm not going to include more than one film from a franchise or series. So, for example, if Godfather, for whatever reason, is considered a Christmas movie, all three of them, I'm not going to have Godfathers 1 and 2. I'm only going to have Godfather 1 or Godfather 2. There is Godfather 3, but who talks about Godfather 3? You know what I mean? So, yeah. And that also includes into remakes as well, originals or remakes. Scarface, again, there's the original Scarface and there's the Al Pacino Scarface. I'd only be talking about one of them, not both of them. Yeah, and then for this video specifically, I'm also going to discuss a few short films, I guess you could say. Because Christmas, they happen to have a lot of short film, Christmas, TV specials, etc. So, you know, it's just... So yeah, I'm just going to sprinkle a few of them in this list as well. It's going to be kind of weird because I'm going to be comparing like short films and TV specials to like actual feature films. So let's see how that goes. But at the end of the day, it's my list, so let's get to it. So at number 15, we have The Polar Express. So I'll be honest, I haven't seen this one in a couple years. So yeah, it's one of those movies that basically I grew up with, and you're going to see a lot of that in this list specifically. It's just movies that I grew up with. I grew up watching during Christmas, during the Christmas season. They were always on TV, or I have the DVD and I just put them on, or whatever have you. And this is one of those movies I just kind of grew up with. I have fond memories watching, you know, when I was younger in front of the TV. And, you know, just watching The Polar Express. You know, you can say whatever you want. You can say whatever you want with the uncanny CGI, animation, whatever. Honestly, I think it's some of the better animation that to come out of this era of that style. But, you know, it's still there. You know, some people have an issue with it. I don't really have much of an issue with it. And it's still a fun story, you know, just having the spirit, believing in the spirit of Christmas. I mean, a lot of Christmas movies are that. You know, you need to believe in the spirit of Christmas. And for what it is, it's fun, and I really do like it. And there are some set pieces, some scenes I really do like. When the train is over the ice lake, the ice lake, I guess whatever you want to call it, trying to cross that's really fun. The kids all going through the Santa's workshop and exploring it. You know, that honestly, I think that's my favorite part of that movie. The last half or the last act when they're all just going through Santa's workshop and trying to figure out, oh, what's my present? Where the hell do we go? So it's a very fun movie. Of course, the hot chocolate musical number, great, hot chocolate. So yeah, I need some hot chocolate right now. Maybe I should go get some. I don't know. We'll see. So, on to the next one. So at number 14, we have Gremlins. So yeah, again, maybe not your most traditional Christmas film. It's a horror Christmas movie. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of forget that Gremlins is a Christmas film at times because it's not the main thing I focus on when it comes to Gremlins. I just focus on Gizmo. You know, I focus on the actual Gremlins and the chaos these little fuckers are causing throughout the town. But then again, it is a Christmas movie because you have the female character, I forget her name, name's right there, we have the female character literally discussing, oh yeah, my dad died going down the chimney trying to pretend to be Santa because his neck snapped or whatever the fuck. And I'm like, it's really dark. Gremlins is, both movies, let's be honest, both movies are like wild. They're drastically wild in what they try to accomplish, but they also have these like really odd moments of darkness, I guess you could say, especially for, I mean, in this case, yes, darkness, but just moments of absurdity more than the usual force for what Gremlins films are. And I think that's just one of the peak ones for this first film. Again, I just kind of forget that it takes place in Christmas sometimes. When I watch it, so I'll literally just pop this in the middle of summer and then like, oh yeah, shit, this is a Christmas movie. Well, whatever. So yeah, it's great. Gizmo's fun. All the special effects are cool. The only question is, when does midnight start? I think that's the eternal debate. When the fuck does midnight start? And when can you feed them again? The way I take it is that the second the sun comes up, you can feed them again. So, yeah. So basically from about 12 to 6, give or take, is when you're not allowed to feed those little fuckers. Next up, we have Klaus. It came out a few years ago. It's from Netflix. It got the Academy Award nomination for Best Animated Feature. And I think for Christmas movies, this is a very underrated movie. It's one that not many people discuss, in my opinion. And I'll be honest, I did want to put this in my top 10, but there's just 12 other movies that if I was being realistic with myself, I just like it more than this. And if you want to talk about the actual spirit of Christmas, I think this one has it in spades. It's about this mailman who is trying to get back to his life because he's like let's be honest, he's a nepo baby. At the end of the day, he's a nepo baby, and he's trying to get back to his chill, relaxed life. And he's sent to the middle of nowhere, essentially in Antarctica, so to speak. And well, I'm a mailman. What the fuck do I do? And then I have this guy, this lumberjack, right next to me. Who's a toy maker. I guess he becomes Santa throughout the course of the story, and honestly, their friendship throughout the whole story, throughout the whole movie, is just very endearing. I like the way at first, they don't really vibe with each other. I guess that's the best way to put it. And then as the story progresses, and as they bring this town together, that's just in this feuding state throughout most of the movie, they're able to bring it together through the spirit of Christmas. And honestly, it's great. I'm gonna rewatch it very soon. I have that in the lineup because we're in Christmas movie watching season, so it's definitely, I'm gonna watch it again probably tomorrow or the day after, depending on how the lineup is. So yeah, can't wait to watch it. Next up, we have a movie that came out last year, Violent Night. So David Harbour is Santa. This is Die Hard. This is maybe the most, even more so than Die Hard itself. This is Die Hard with Santa. This is the pinnacle Die Hard Christmas movie. And again, that's including the actual Die Hard. So take that for what you will. But honestly, I mean, yeah, who would have thought that Santa Claus could actually be a killer? Like, that's nobody. The fact that nobody ever has done it beforehand. I mean, granted, you do have like stuff like Santa's sleigh, but like killer in the good sense. Like, he's trying to protect someone. He's trying to protect his family, or not even the family, just the little girl, because the rest of her family's kind of shit. It's just really funny, and I really do like this camaraderie Santa has with the little girl. I forget her name right now, but with the little girl in the movie, and John Leguizamo here, just like chewing up the scenery, fucking hysterical. And again, David Harbour being buff, killing people, killing goons. Awesome. The one thing I have with this movie, and it's not so much the movie itself, I guess the reception to the movie, it threw me through a loop when I first heard this, but a lot of people consider this a horror movie, and I'm like, the fuck? It's an action movie. Where are you getting horror movie from? But a lot of people, for whatever reason, consider this to be a Christmas horror movie, and I don't get it. It's a Christmas action movie, so take that for what you will. At number 11, the most recent movie to come out from this year, actually, it's The Holdovers. And honestly, there is a part of me that wanted to put this on the actual top 10 list. But again, it comes down to the other 10 movies are movies that I've grown up with. Whereas this one, I quite literally saw it for the first time last week. So, the fact that I even got on the list is kind of amazing. But honestly, the best way I could describe this movie, it's a very cozy movie. It's a cozy movie. You have Paul Giamatti, Dominic Sessa in his first acting debut, and Divine Joy Randolph. They're basically the core cast, and it's them stuck in this boarding school, living during the Christmas holiday, and they're all dealing with their own personal shit. And the way they're both able to, not both, all three of them, the way all three of them are able to understand each other's plights and see how they could each help each other out in whatever different ways, is kind of amazing. In a lot of ways, it is kind of heartbreaking, which is weird to say about a Christmas movie, but there are a lot of moments where it's like, oh shit, like that's heartbreaking. But at the same time, you have a lot of like feel-good, positive moments. And honestly, I don't care what Alexander Payne, the director, I don't care what he says. He made a Christmas movie. I don't know why he's taking such an issue with that. He has an issue with it being called cozy, and the fact that it's a Christmas movie. Motherfucker, you made a Christmas movie. I don't know what the fuck you want. What did you expect? I don't know why you're taking offense to it, but yeah, it's a Christmas movie. Maybe down the line it will be on the top 10, but right now it's number 11. So at number 10, we have Bad Santa. And okay, just like Violent Night, who would have thought we would have had this aggressive, let's fight type of Santa? In this case, who would have thought we would have had a drunk Santa, essentially? So, I mean, it's called Bad Santa. And honestly, it's honestly one of the best comedy movies in general. Rated R comedy movies, sure, whatever. But I think just in general, it is one of the best comedy movies in general. If you have to do a top 50 list of best comedies, this will be on the list. It's just hysterical from beginning to end. And again, what a lot of these Christmas movies succeed in, it's having the core cast basically gel with each other. Basically, have that camaraderie where they may be apart at the very beginning, but throughout the time of the movie, throughout the course of the movie, they're able to come in together as a family, so to speak. And honestly, what Bad Santa, what is that name? I know Billy Bob Thornton. That's the actual actor's name, but the character's name, it's not actually Santa Claus. It's right there. Him and the kid and the elf. Jesus Christ. Clearly, I suck at remembering characters' names sometimes, but there they are. The camaraderie they all have, and them trying to basically build up this kid, so to speak, because he has a shitty life, and them trying to build up this kid's confidence, life, whatever you want to call it. It is kind of endearing, despite the fact how shitty of a job they sometimes do, how laissez-faire, so to speak, they do it at times. And yeah, I haven't seen the second one. I know there's Bad Santa 2. I haven't seen it. I heard mixed things about it at best. Who knows? Maybe I'll watch it eventually, but for the time being, Bad Santa, it is what it is. It's great. It's fantastic. Go watch it if you haven't already. Next up, we have the 1984 A Christmas Carol. So, A Christmas Carol in general, I think that's just one of those movies. It's one of those stories that when you're making a top 10, top 15, whatever Christmas list, it kind of just needs to be here. Whether it be the Muppet version, for example, or the Bill Murray version, or the Bill Murray Scrooged version, or whatever, or the animated version. I think you need to have A Christmas Carol here somewhere regardless. And for me, the 1984 one, it's just the one I grew up with. And I think just because of that, that's why I have it on this list. And honestly, I can say whatever I say now about the Christmas Carol, it kind of holds true for any iteration of the Christmas Carol, because it's like, yes, I love the story. I love the fact that Ebenezer Scrooge is now finding peace, so to speak, with the spirits of past, present, and future, and him and his relationship with Bob Cratchit, how that forms throughout the whole course of the movie. It's one of the more purest forms of the spirits of Christmas. Yeah, I think anything else I say right now is just more towards the story as a whole. And I think the reason I'm just putting this with the 1984 version is because that's the one I grew up with specifically, and it's well acted. I feel like you kind of just need to have A Christmas Carol somewhere on the list. So here's my insert of A Christmas Carol on the list. Next up, like I said, our first short film here, it's How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the original animated version. So look, the Jim Carrey version, I think it's fine. I've seen it. I'm not too wowed by it. I think it's good. The makeup job there is good. Jim Carrey's giving it his all, but I'm very indifferent towards that version. But the original, the animated version, the TV special, it's great. It's one of those short films, one of those Christmas specials that you just see day in and day out when it comes to the holiday season. And it's one of those things that it's one of those things because it's the Grinch. I don't really know what to say because it's the Grinch. You all seen it. It's that great. What else do you want me to say? That's kind of the logic I'm kind of going with it. But yeah, that's really it's the Grinch. What do you want me to say? That's the logic I'm going with it. It's that's really all I can say. I don't, anything I say to praise it, it's just gonna be like the same thing over again. It's well animated, well voice acted, the music is classic, whatever. Again, it's the Grinch. Why wouldn't I have the Grinch in this thing? So, on to the next. Next up, we have Elf, Buddy the Elf. Goddamn. Not gonna lie, when I first saw this movie, it's not that I didn't like it, it's just that I was a little bit annoyed by Elf as a character, but as time went on, I've really grown to appreciate this movie and Will Ferrell's performance throughout this movie, as well as James Caan in the movie. Honestly, I think it's one of his best performances, and that's crazy because he has the fucking Godfather to back him up, But speaking of Godfather, but I genuinely think that this is one of his best performances, James Caan's. Again, it comes down to that camaraderie, or I guess in this case, that familial relationship that Buddy the Elf has between himself and James Caan's family. What is his actual family? What's the family called? There you go. And I like how he's able to connect with the son at first, and then slowly he goes to the wife, and eventually he connects with his father. And again, I think for me, when it comes to a lot of these Christmas movies, that's what it comes down to. That's clearly what's the pattern right now. That's what it comes down to. The fact that you have these group of people who maybe, for whatever reason, they wouldn't normally associate with each other, but because it's Christmas time, because of the circumstances, now they are, and they're able to basically have better lives because of it. Honestly, Elf has a bunch of great moments. Just the montage of him all over New York, which, from what I understand, they did it guerrilla style, essentially, which was fucking hysterical. You know, him, even in the very beginning when he's in this winter wonderland in Antarctica in the North Pole, and it's stop motion, just like the old Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer type of short film claymation styles and all that type of stuff. I thought that was very cool. That's very cool. I mean, overall, it's just a great movie. It's another feel-good movie. It's a great Christmas movie. What else do you want me to say? At number 6, yes, Die Hard. I have it here. It's a Christmas movie. Even though I said Violent Night is more Die Hard than Die Hard itself, I don't care. I'm putting Die Hard on the list. It's a Christmas movie. Fuck off. It's the eternal debate. I don't give a shit. It's a Christmas movie. It takes place in Christmas. That's enough. Whatever. And honestly, whatever excuse I get to talk about Die Hard, I'm gonna take it. I mean, as a Christmas movie, the Christmas elements to it, I mean, let's be honest, it's rather thin. It's rather fucking thin. But it's Die Hard. It's one of the best action movies of all time. Alan Rickman and his breakout role. I'm pretty sure it's also his first role, if I'm not mistaken. You know, Bruce Willis on top of his A game right after he did the whole Moonlight show, where I think this is just as it was ending. You know, it's one of the best action movies. You know, him swinging through the window, him trying to shooting the guy from beneath the table. You know, him tricking Hans Gruber with the gun. It has just so many standout moments, and it's a movie that, all things considered, I guess to keep it in with the Christmas spirit, it does have a lot of heart. Because, yes, despite the fact that John McClane and his wife are not married anymore, or no, they're separated, better said. They're separated. I think they're on the edge of divorce. They still care for each other at the end of the day, and they still want each other to be safe. I mean, the whole reason Die Hard is because he's trying to get back to his wife to make sure she's safe when these terrorists come in. Honestly, it's a great movie. It has a lot of heart. I don't know what you want me to say, aside from the fact that, yes, this is a Christmas movie. Oh, and the limo driver. I forget his name right now, but the limo driver honestly has one of the funniest scenes when he's just, like, vibing in the back of his limo, and then he realizes, oh, shit, there's terrorists. Time to kill them. Well, I don't think he actually kills them, but he, like, runs over one of them with the ambulance, or almost does, something like that. It's one of the best action movies. It's a Christmas movie. I don't care what anybody says. It's a Christmas movie. Even if Bruce Willis himself doesn't say, it's a Christmas movie. I don't care. On to the next. On to the top 5. And at number 5, we have It's a Wonderful Life. So, here's the thing. I saw this movie for the first time last year. And I loved it so much that I kind of rewatched it 4 times over last year. And I've already seen it twice this year. So, I mean, that's how much I think this is such a great movie. It's honestly one of the best movies of all time. This definitely should be in the top 5 for best Christmas movies in general. I mean, that line, I mean, granted, maybe it's kind of a meme. Maybe it's kind of too much at this point. But, you know, every time a bell rings, an angel cuts his wings. As like memeified, so to speak, as that line has become, it's true in a sense. Like, after everything we've seen in this movie, and that's a payoff at the end of the movie, it's just kind of tear-jerky? I'm not sure if that's the right word, but like tears in a good way. You know, almost kind of makes me want to tear up sometimes, if I'm being honest. And you know, just the whole thing with him not wanting to be alive. You know, him like, why the fuck am I alive? And you know, would it be better off? The fact that they're even discussing that at this time, because this would have been post World War II, if I'm not mistaken. The fact that they're even discussing this. This was just when, I mean, keep in mind, this is just when films are starting to really get dark, because again, post-World War II. And honestly, James Stewart in this movie, one of his best performances by far, you know, up there with like Winchester 73 and Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Honestly, it's a great performance by him. Arguably my favorite performance by him. You know, that one I'd really have to think about, but overall, it's a great movie. It's one of the pinnacle Christmas movies. How can I not have it on here? Speaking of pinnacle primetime Christmas movies, we have Miracle on 34th Street, the 1947 version. So yeah, I'm pretty sure this was like Natalie Wood's one of her first roles ever, if not her first role. You have Ed Gwynn as Santa. Honestly, I think the best interpretation of Santa there's ever been and ever will be, straight up. And again, I think this is one of those movies that, yes, we're in post-war World War II America right now. And unlike Wonderful Life, I think this one just feeds into that whole feel good vibe that America really needed at this moment, and that's all I can really say about it. Like that's the vibe I got from it. It's a feel good movie. It's a pinnacle feel good movie. And again, like as I said with Wonderful Life, if you need to make a top 100 list, this movie better be in consideration at the very least. At the very least, best be in consideration. I mean, and yeah, it's got one of the best interpretations of Santa there ever has been. You know, him not even wanting to admit that he's not Santa Claus. That is he actually Santa? That's the real mystery. Is Ed Gwynn actually Santa Claus? And he won the Oscar for this. That's the other thing. He won the Oscar for portraying Santa. Like, if you can't get more feel good than that. I'm just gonna point that out. You can't get more feel good than that. So on to the next. Next up, we have Edward Scissorhands. So yeah, another question mark Christmas movie. I think this is a more clear cut than fucking Die Hard. I'll give you that much. But yeah, no, this is definitely a Christmas movie. And you know, part of the love I have for this movie has to do with Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp straight up is one of my favorite actors of all time. This, I think very early on, even before I even knew what cinema was, before I truly knew what cinema was, if you were to ask, you know, like 5-year-old Daniel what's one of his favorite movies, eventually I would say Edward Scissorhands. I'd probably say Titanic first. I'd probably still say Titanic in certain circumstances, but you know, Edward Scissorhands I'd eventually say Edward Scissorhands at some point. But again, these next three movies are films that I grew up with. I've been seeing them since I was a child, since I was 5 years old, and I think that alone explains why I have this in my top 3. That alone, honestly, it's also one of Johnny Depp's best performances. I don't care what anybody says. It's one of his best performances. It's one of his most heartfelt performances. You have Vincent Price in this movie as well, just randomly, which I didn't realize I was Vincent Price for the longest time. Granted, I didn't know who the fuck Vincent Price was for the longest time either. But when, it kind of took me aback because I found out that like 2 years ago that, oh wait, that's Vincent Price. What the fuck? So that's kind of always and that's one of those things I kind of forget sometimes. And then when I see the movie, it's like, oh right, Vincent Price is in this movie as Edward's creator, as his father. And, that's kind of trippy. I mean, overall, I think it's one of Tim Burton's best movies. I think it's one of Johnny Depp's best movies. Is it one of Vincent Price's best movies? I guess by technicality, even though he's in it for like maybe 2 minutes, but take that for what you will. Honestly, it's a very feel-good movie. I really like it. I grew up with it as a child. How can it not be up here? Number 2, another one I grew up with. Another short film, Frosty the Snowman. Frosty the Snowman. I mean, this is another one I just love. I love Frosty the Snowman. I love the short film. Again, it has to come down to the fact that I grew up on it. And I usually don't have this experience with many movies, whether it be short films or feature films. But this is one of those few movies that I actually know, or I actually remember, so to speak, how I found it. And it was actually through a family friend. Because with Edward Scissorhands and my number 1, I just knew it because I had seen it so many times as a child that it just kind of became routine after a while. Whereas this one, I remember I was at my family friend's house. It's a friend of my dad. It's a friend of my dad's, and she put it on for us. She had the DVD and she put it on for us, and me and my sister were just mesmerized by it because we fucking loved it. And she saw how much we liked it, and she straight up gave us the DVD. So for the longest time, my dad had the DVD because I'm not going to collect movies at like 8 years old. I didn't start collecting movies until I was like 12, 13 years old. And, when I started collecting movies, I eventually jacked Frosty the Snowman from my dad's collection. And I put it in my collection. And honestly, it's just a very feel-good movie. I love Frosty the Snowman. Let's be honest, Olaf had to be inspired by Frosty the Snowman. There's no workaround around that one. It's one of those things, since I grew up with it, I don't really know how else to justify past that, and I don't really think I need a reason to justify it. On to number 1. At number 1, I have Home Alone 2. So, I'll be honest, this is very hard for me because it's either Home Alone or Home Alone 2. It's one of the others, and I have my rule. I'm only gonna do one for the series. And I think the reason that always edges it out for me, why I like Home Alone 2 a bit more than Home Alone 1, is because we're in New York. We're not stuck in this house. And granted, I'm not saying that was a disadvantage for Home Alone 1. It worked wonders, magical wonders for the series. But I think just the fact that they're exploring New York, that Kevin McAllister's exploring New York. You know, he's in Central Park. He's at this toy shop. He's beating Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern in this abandoned house or whatever the fuck it is. It's just fucking hysterical. And you have Tim Curry here as well. I think, is it Giovanni Ribisi's? Is this like one of his first roles? I think it's Giovanni Ribisi's. I'll correct it if I'm wrong here. A movie I grew up with. I grew up with both Home Alone 1 and Home Alone 2. And yeah, that's really it. Kevin McAllister is honestly one of the best Christmas characters. And Macaulay Culkin, he actually just got his Hollywood Walk of Fame star. I'm very happy for him. Congratulations, my man. It's just amazing. You know, we've seen him grow up literally from this movie, Richie Rich, or whatever other movies he did during this time. You know, My Girl as well. That's another one. Goddamn. And, you know, now he has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. It's like, goddamn. You know, him, Zac Efron, he just got it as well. And, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why I just got so introspective all of a sudden, but it's like, it's one of those things that you're seeing those people you've seen ever since your childhood, and they're succeeding after all the struggles they've gone through. It's just very amazing. And when it comes to this, Home Alone 2, it's, again, my favorite Christmas movie of all time. And very fast, I do want to go over some honorable mentions. And I only have 3 of them in this case. First off, I have Frozen. I honestly don't know if I should even consider this a Christmas movie or not, which is kind of wild when I just had a whole diatribe on Die Hard. Yeah, it's a winter wonderland. Maybe I could have squeezed it in there. I don't know. Maybe I boot Polar Express for Frozen. I don't know. But right now, it's in the honorable mentions. Next up, we have Batman Returns. Again, similar to Gremlins, this is just a movie I kind of forget is a Christmas movie. So that's really why it's an honorable mentions. I guess Gremlins, I remember half the time that's a Christmas movie. Batman Returns, I completely forget it's a Christmas movie a bunch of times. But just in general, especially for comic book films, this is a great movie in general. So I'm going to give it the honorable mentions. And then last but not least, A Christmas Story. I mean, the one major knock I have against this is the fact that I didn't grow up with this movie at all. I've seen it a handful of times, but it's not one I grew up with. I feel like if I had grown up with this movie, if I had seen it a lot more throughout my childhood, maybe it could make it on the list. But that's the thing, I just didn't grow up with it, and that's why it's an honorable mention. So yeah, these are the 3 honorable mentions, a lot less than the usual. It is what it is. But yeah, that's basically it for now. What are your thoughts on the list? What are your favorite Christmas movies? Comment all that down below, let me know. And that's basically it for now. Merry Christmas, everybody. And yeah, this is Daniel Mart signing off.